Introduction. Today, we discuss spiritual abuse. Before we dive too deep into this topic, we need to make one thing clear. Abuse is wrong. Whether you are the victim of physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, any kind of abuse, those who inflict that terror upon any other spiritual being are exerting their power in a negative way and are 100% in the wrong. Abuse is one of the scourges of the physical realm, and while this discussion covers spiritual abuse, we hope those who receive this message will understand that by focusing only on this facet of abuse, we are not implying that spiritual abuse is of more importance than any of the other ways physical beings mistreat others. Today, we discuss this topic because we feel it is one of the lesser discussed forms of abuse and is one of the fastest rising forms today. While we often speak negatively about some of the darker sides of the World Wide Web, when it comes to spiritual abuse, that particular avenue of communication has done a splendid job in shining a light upon not only abusive individuals, but also abusive doctrines, as well as the effects of abuse on innocence. We shall discuss that in greater depth shortly. For abuse to be inflicted, there must always be an abuser, and abusers of the spiritual realm are generally quite charismatic, generally authoritarian, often very likable, and always duplicitous. Unfortunately, that description matches many modern spiritual teachers. The person many abusers present to the wider society rarely matches the person within. It is these wolves in sheep's clothing that Jesus the Christ warned of. Those who are so enamored with their own thirst for power and control that they will do anything to elicit blind allegiance and gain followers. It concerns us greatly when a wolf is able to wound another spirit, and often those wounds will not heal for a very long time. An unfortunate cost of this type of abuse is that often the spirit victim, so entrenched in a particular dogma, doesn't recognize the actions as abuse. If they eventually suspect what is happening is wrong, they now must wrestle with the notion that their immortal soul is in peril when they question events that they themselves experienced. We shall discuss this phenomena in more detail soon. At this juncture, they have a choice of either allowing the abuse to continue or exiting the situation, leaving behind their entire support system, any friendships, as well as, often, their livelihood. You would expect the trauma to end upon making that decision to leave, but nothing could be further from the truth. The individuals who have left abusive situations often deal with lingering wounds, a myriad of what-ifs, and an incredible amount of rebuilding to do. If something as fundamental as your spirituality has been abused, where do you go from there? Some entities embark on a spiritual journey, attempting to find something, anything about spirituality that could be real. Far too often, these poor individuals wind up in another similar situation. We have noticed that spiritual entities housed in physical bodies are drawn towards the familiar, and thus, an unfortunate cycle begins that often will affect their progeny into many generations. Some souls decide spirituality is a hoax and decide to focus on the physical realm, leaving all notions of spirituality behind them. Oddly enough, it is these individuals who enter the spiritual realm upon their death healthier than those who have struggled mightily with their spirituality after abuse. This is because notions of heaven and Hades are often used to pummel spiritual entities into submission.